Hey guys, what's up? It's Raven and welcome back to my real estate investing series. If you are new to my channel or new to this series, I have decided this year that I want to start investing in real estate. This is something that I am brand new to, something that I'm very much so a beginner with, and I'm learning as I go, and I wanted to bring you guys along for the journey of learning as I go, so hopefully you guys can learn something too. So far in this series, I have explained exactly why and how I'm planning on investing into real estate. So if you have not seen those other videos, definitely go watch them. I will link everything down below for you guys. You can get caught up in this series and get all your questions answered. And I also have already looked at a handful of houses, and I showed you guys like the first few houses that I looked at. But I'm back again with this video to show you guys even more houses that I looked at, because the house hunting process is a process. And of course you have to look at several houses before you find the perfect one. And that's whether you're buying a home for yourself to live in or whether you're buying a home for an investment purpose, which for me is for rental properties. Even though I'm not going to be living in these homes and I am going to be renting them out, I still have certain criteria that I'm trying to stick to. I'm still kind of looking for the perfect home, not for me, but the perfect home for somebody to rent from me. So I'm not being as picky as I would be if I were to be living in this home, but I'm still being pretty picky. So I wanted to make sure that I looked at a good amount of houses before I jumped on anything. So in this video, I'm going to show you 4 houses that I looked at and just kind of tell you guys my thoughts. And you guys can comment down below and tell me your thoughts on these houses as well. And if you do know anything about investing in real estate, because I noticed from some of my other videos that a lot of you guys have actually done this before and you have a lot of great advice to give me, and I am definitely all ears because I'm super new to this. Of course, I am working with professionals and I'm talking to experts, and I'm, taking advice from people who I can trust. I'm not just going off of YouTube comments, but it doesn't hurt to hear from you guys as well. So let me know what you think about the houses. Let me know if you have any comments, questions, concerns in the comments down below. All right, without further ado, let's get into the houses. The first home that I looked at was a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom, approximately 1,500 square feet. Just a cute little 1-story single family home, and it was going for $435,000. I mentioned this in previous videos, but just for reference, I was trying to stay within about $500,000 as my budget. So $500,000 was my budget, and that's just because that's kind of what my budget needs to be for the type of home that I'm trying to buy in Austin, Texas, with the way that the market is right now. So I actually really liked this home right off the bat. Like, first impression, super cute, like didn't seem like it needed much on the outside aside from just like some cleanup work and landscaping, but the actual structure of the house, I like the stone, I like the color. It was within my budget, which is obviously good. It was 1 story, which is good. I've been trying to stick to 1-story homes because I've been advised if I'm going to be renting it out that 1-story homes are better because it's like less of a liability. And walking into the house, again, really good first impressions. Initial reaction was like, oh, this is cute. This is a nice open layout. It feels spacious. There's high ceilings. This house was built in 1999, so it is technically from the 90s, early 2000s, and you can tell by looking at it that there's definitely some outdated features and some things that need to be updated, modernized, and replaced. But that's good because I am looking for a project. Like I've said before, if you watch my other videos, I'm looking for something that I can fix up because I do want to put in work into the house, but I don't want to put in too much work. And this is my first house, this is my first project, so I want to kind of take it easy and just do minor cosmetic changes and not dive into anything too intense or too scary. So first impressions of this house, it feels like it's that type of project. Walking through this home, no shade to the previous owners, but there were some interesting choices made as far as doorknobs and just little things that I was noticing. I was like, that's an interesting choice. What an interesting fan. What an interesting light fixture. What an interesting cabinet pull. Just random things throughout the house. There was like tile that they had added around the mirror of one of the bathrooms. Just little things like that that I was like, we would definitely have to remove all of that, I would completely redo bathrooms. Kitchen has old appliances in it, old bathroom fixtures and stuff like that. There's new flooring in the living room, but it's like cheap.
Yeah, they glue that vinyl straight to, it's a pretty base base model flooring.
But really good bones, cute layout, nothing, you know, structurally looked super wrong with it, no major red flags. And honestly, after walking through this home just briefly, we all kind of looked at each other, like me, my mom, and my realtor, and we were kind of like, this might be the one, but let's not get too hasty. Let's go look at the rest of the houses. So then we went over to the second property, which is actually a duplex. And this is the first duplex that I'm looking at. I definitely wanted to be open-minded about possibly purchasing a duplex or a fourplex or, you know, different things like that. Although I was leaning more towards a single family home, I definitely wanted to just keep my options open.
If you're planning to sell, I mean, that's nice, but the other side of the coin is if you're planning to keep these things for a long, long time, like I think you are, then who cares what the value is? You're looking at cash flow.
The thing about this duplex is that it was built in 1980, so 20 years older than the first house that we looked at. And it definitely shows. You can just instantly tell from the outside of the house, and then you can really tell when you first walk into the house. We only toured one side of it. So the way the duplex was built, it's like basically one family can live on one side and one family can live on the other side. If I did buy this property, I would be buying the whole entire property, but we just only looked at the one side of it. I think somebody was still living in the other side. And I believe it was a 2-bedroom, 1-bath on each side. So it would be 4 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms total. And it's about 1,600 square feet altogether. So the reason why a lot of people in my position go for duplexes is because it's double the house built into one. So you would rent it out to 2 people or 2 families, and you would be getting like double the rent.
They're getting $11.95 right now. Okay, so let's say you fix it up nice and you're getting 12, maybe 1,300. That's 2,600 between the two, or 24 to 2,600. That house over there, it's only 1,500 feet. You'll probably be just over 2,000-ish a month.
The asking price was $455,000, which is only $20,000 more than that first house that we looked at. So it kind of feels like you're getting a 2-for-1 deal as far as your investment goes. When you really crunch the numbers, it just kind of depends, because with it being so old from the 80s, walking through the house, you can immediately see that it's gonna need a lot of work. It's gonna need a lot of updating. So that's a lot of money that I would be pouring into the home. Now, when it's all said and done, I would be able to rent it out to 2 people and have, you know, double the income as far as the rent, but it depends on how much I'm able to get for the rent. It just depends. It could be, you know, a better investment. I could get more of a profit off of it because it's a duplex, or I could not. It just kind of depends, like I keep saying. Honestly, I just did not get a spark of joy when I toured this home. I just didn't like it. I don't know what else to say. I didn't get good vibes. My mom also did not get good vibes, and we just immediately looked at each other like, no. Needs a lot of work to get up to modern standards.
Popcorn ceilings. That's a no.
Makes me itchy.
Tiny little baseboards. That's a no. Shag carpet. That's a no.
Also, I kind of really don't like the idea of doing a duplex as my first investment property, because it kind of just feels like double the work and double the responsibility, double the stuff to worry about when it comes to actually renting it out. When you double down on everything, it just seems like a lot, especially for my first rental property. But I do plan on owning several properties. I want to build up a whole portfolio. So maybe later on down the line, I will be more interested in doing duplexes and stuff like that. The third house that we went to, I think it was like a last minute listing that my realtor just wanted to take us to quickly, because I can't find it in my notes to give you guys the exact specs on the bedrooms and bathrooms and square footage and the year it was built and everything like that.
It's 1,500 feet, built in 86.
But from just initial first impression, again, it's like you walk into a space and either you feel it or you don't. Either it feels like the right move or it doesn't. And just immediately I was just kind of like, no. Like, not that there was anything just so blatantly wrong with it. It was definitely, again, an older home. I think it was like a 3-bedroom, 2-bath type situation, but it had some interesting, again, I don't want to say weird because no shade to the previous owners, no shade to the builder, but it had some interesting features like kind of a sunken in living room, which we had a house like that in my first house hunting vlog. And I was advised by my realtor that when you have a sunken in living room where it's like a level lower and you have to step down into it and step up into the kitchen, people really don't like that these days. That's an outdated architectural feature. And so you would want to fill that in. And that's kind of a lot of work to fix that. They also had an interesting fireplace where it was like a fireplace for the living room, but it was double-sided. So the fireplace also was for the kitchen, which was interesting, but I don't know if that would be something that I would want to completely like rip out and modernize. And then just throughout the house in general, it just definitely needed to be just updated. And you know, some things were very old and kind of broken and just needed to be replaced. So I guess overall, this house felt like it would be a little too much work. So then we quickly moved on to the fourth and final property of the day. And when we pulled up, I was pleasantly surprised by the color of the home because it was pink, and I love pink. Now, do I love pink homes? Do I love this exact shade of coral flamingo pink? Not necessarily, but I thought it was kind of cute, like in a weird way. Like, I don't know, maybe it's just because I love pink, but realistically, if I were to buy this property and rent it out, realistically, I would repaint the entire exterior of the home and just neutralize it. I would probably paint it white with some sort of darker contrasting detail. So that was my first impression. I was like, oh, that's kind of cute and charming, but like realistically, that needs to be completely repainted. But yeah, this home is also a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom, single family, single story home. It was built in 1994 and the asking price was $350,000, which is considerably lower than all the other homes that we looked at. But walking into the home, it was sort of in bad shape. I mean, it's an old home, it's from 94. So the carpets were destroyed. You know, the kitchen needed to be updated. Everything about the home pretty much needed to be updated. Looking in the bathrooms, you know, all the countertops and cabinetry and plumbing fixtures, all of that looked like it needed to be updated. The worst thing was probably the flooring. So it would need new flooring throughout the entire home. I did really like the big open, I guess you would call that the living room, or kind of like the den in the front of the home. It was very big and open. It had like a fireplace and everything like that. And my realtor was kind of suggesting that you could even knock down the wall that was right there connecting to the kitchen and just make it more of a open concept, open floor plan from the kitchen to the living room, and just kind of reconfigure that. And aside from basically the entire interior of the home needing to be redone, it was also kind of in a weird location.
This is, I was just talking to your mom about, this would make me nervous. This lot back here, because it's commercial site and who knows what it's gonna turn into.
Now, nothing was built on that commercial lot. It was a big empty field, and in the distance you could see some commercial properties, but it's a commercial lot. So you never know when they are going to build something right there, some sort of storefront or something like that. And that's not really ideal. Nobody necessarily wants to live right next to, you know, a busy store or something like that right in their backyard. And again, I gotta think about my potential tenants. Is this something that they're going to like, or is it gonna be hard for me to get renters in this house because of the location and because of there possibly being something, even just the construction of them starting to build something that can be really, really annoying. But there's no real way for us to know if it's just gonna stay empty for a long time, if they're gonna build something, what they're gonna build. So that's just kind of like a risk. And these are supposed to be long-term investments for me. I'm not buying them to flip them and then sell them and just be done with them. I'm buying them to own them and rent them out over a long period of time. So because I'm going to, in theory, own this home for a long time, it's like you never know what they're gonna do with that lot years down the line. So it's just stuff like that that I have to think about. But I actually really did like this house. I thought it had, you know, good bones. I thought that the work that needed to be done, it was cosmetic. It was kind of like just barely tipping over the edge of feeling like it might be too much work, but maybe not. So I was definitely open to the idea of making an offer on this this home. But still, out of all these 4 homes that we looked at, the first one was my top favorite by far. Like, I just liked that one so much better than any of the other homes that I had looked at previously and any of the other homes that I looked at on this day. Keep in mind, I had also been looking at homes online and just ruling them out just off of pictures and other details. So in total, I've probably browsed through at least like 60 homes and toured about 10 of them in person. And out of all that, like I said, this first home that I looked at on this day was my favorite. So as we were wrapping up the day, I mentioned to my realtor that I actually might be interested in making an offer on that first home. And I was also kind of interested in making an offer on the last pink flamingo home as well. I could tell that he was more excited about the first home, and that would be one that he would more so recommend versus the pink home, just because of the whole commercial lot thing. And it did kind of seem like a lot of work needed to be done on the inside of it. And my mom agreed with that as well. So all in all, I ended up feeling like I really wanted to make an offer on that first home. With the way that the market is right now, especially in Austin, Texas, like I keep saying, it's a very competitive market, and these houses are just like going fast. Like some of the houses that I was looking at online, we didn't even get a chance to tour them in person because somebody already bought them. So everything is moving super fast. It's very competitive. People are offering, you know, way higher than asking price, just trying to get these houses. So I knew if I liked this house that we looked at and I wanted it and I wanted any chance of getting it, I would have to literally make an offer like immediately. It had just been put on the market, I think, that day or the day before we viewed it, if I'm remembering correctly. So even though it was brand new, fresh on the market, still, like my realtor was telling me like, okay, well, do you really want to? Because we need to like get a move on if you do. But of course, I didn't want to make any hasty decisions. I had to at least sleep on it. So I didn't do anything that day. Stay tuned for the next episode so I can dive deeper into what ended up happening and just share next steps with you guys. Again, I'm very curious to hear your thoughts on these houses and your thoughts on this whole journey in general, especially if you have experience in this. Definitely give me your advice, give me your knowledge, share the wisdom with the class down below. But yeah, that's everything I have for this video. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.